JesssFam. I have missed a lot of FAQ Fridays over the past like few weeks, so for today's video I wanted to just do a sit down Q&A with you guys, answer your guys' question that you asked me on Twitter using the hashtag JesssFamFAQ. If you have not added me on Twitter already, you need to go follow. I think you follow on Twitter. This social media is so confusing. I'm getting old. If you haven't followed me on Twitter yet, go follow me at the JesssFam. I'll have a link. All of the important information is here. But I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. I'm not even gonna lollygag around. There's a lot of questions, so I'm definitely not gonna be able to get to all of them, but I'm gonna try to pick some interesting ones that I haven't answered so much recently maybe. I don't know. Let's go. So first question, what did Chris think when you first told him that your job is a YouTuber? Well, at the time, it was more, I mean, it was a job, but it was more of a hobby. Like now I have like a schedule and I'm pretty much completely dependent on this as my income, whereas before, I mean, it was the same, but like I didn't have a mortgage to pay, you know? So I kind of explained it to him as like, oh, this is like what I do. I was still in school at the time. I had no intentions, well, not no intentions, but I had no idea that it was gonna turn into what it is now. So it wasn't like, hi, I'm Jess, I'm a YouTuber. At the time, I don't think he understood what that meant. So it didn't really faze him until like we were married. That question was asked by Bree and Kids. Next question is by CLA_613. I really wanna know how Chris felt throughout the whole playlist experience. You seem super excited meeting all the YouTuber subscribers. I really want to know how Chris was as well, since he was new with the whole YouTube thing. So he was definitely more like behind the scenes. I told him before we got there like what my expectations were and like what I knew about it. That way he wasn't just completely surprised by this experience. I told him that we would be meeting a lot of people and he had a lot of fun, but it was a different kind of fun than I had, I think. I think for him it was more so like, oh, this is like a new thing, this is so cool, like something that he hadn't experienced before and I haven't experienced it before either. He didn't go like out of his way to like make sure he got a picture with subscribers. Like he kind of just like stayed back, and then when people came to him he would open up at that point. So if any of you guys did meet Chris, you guys could probably tell how he was. He was like not super like, oh hey, I'm Chris, I'm part of JesssFam too. He was just kind of like hanging out, and then some people were like, oh, I want to get a picture with him, and he'd be like, okay. I think he was kind of, what is the word, shy about it, but it made him feel good at the same time. This question is by Katie Starable. What is going on with Drake? I understand it's super personal, but I feel like Chris really took over being their dad. Do you think he would ever be open to posting a video or at least explain why he doesn't see his boys? He wants nothing to do with YouTube. Let me just start with like what's going on. Honestly, there's not much of an update. I have full custody of the kids and his visitation is few and far between. He's supposed to see them 2 days a month. I mean, I hope this doesn't come off as if I'm like bashing him, but he only sees them probably once every 3 months, maybe. And that's being like really generous. I think in the last like year, he's seen them a handful of times and never overnight, never for longer than an hour. And the thing is, I think he would agree when I say this, but he really isn't much of a dad to them. And he's even told me in the past, we're not on great terms, but we are on decent terms as far as like we don't fight when we text each other or call each other or see each other anymore. So I mean, that's a step up. But as far as him being a father role in their life, he's just not. And I think he would agree with that. I don't think I'm like, you know, talking him. As far as how he feels about that or like why, I have no idea. Let me just back up for a second because I know I have a lot of new viewers, but Drake is the father of my 3 boys. So Kyson, Caden, and Landon. There's a long backstory to that, but basically he actually left when I was 8 months pregnant with Landon. There's so much more to it. Go watch our life journey. I think I have it summed up pretty well in that one. I do need to update that video. Anyway, I feel like I'm getting off topic, but when I talk to him, he acts interested in their life and he knows that I'm open to him taking them if he wants them or coming and visiting them or seeing them or whatever it is. And it just hasn't happened. I think at this point, it's just normal for him to not have them. Maybe, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not gonna sit here and make excuses for him because really there's no excuse for not seeing your kids, but we're on decent terms. He does have actually another daughter who is almost exactly 1 year younger. They were together for a while, but they did since split, so he's not with her either. And I have no idea what his custody schedule is with her. Someone's probably gonna ask this in the comments too, but I don't talk to their sister's mom, oh, so confusing. His other baby mama, how do you not be weird with this? We have texted here and there a little bit, and I would not at all be opposed to meeting up with her. In fact, we did talk about it at one point, but I don't know, she's busy, I'm busy, and we haven't really gotten around to it. Not closed off to it, but at this point, there is no relationship there. This question is by Leah Dobris. Why don't you do birthday montages for Tommy and Caden? Would you ever consider doing them? There's 2 reasons why I don't do birthday montages with them. I would love to do birthday montages with them. I think the first reason would be that I just just simply don't have as much footage of them because they don't live with us, and that would be difficult, but I could definitely still do it. I think the second thing is more so what it is for me, and out of respect for their mom, I don't know. It's our relationship with her is not the greatest at all. I just don't want to step on her toes because she's not extremely fond of the whole YouTube thing, especially if you don't understand it, and that's totally fine, but I feel like making a whole video revolving around them, only of them, like I don't want her to think that I am trying to take her role as their mother. What I would consider doing is just making the video just for them, but maybe not posting it. So that's something that I have considered and I'm totally not opposed to. Lex Savage 101 asked a very interesting question. If you had another kid, which is a no, I think everybody knows that we're not having any more, what kind of birth would you have had and what would you have wanted the sex to be? Despite what went on in our last home birth, I would 110,000% do another home birth. It is still my best experience of life ever. Even with what happened in my last home birth, I 100% trust my midwives, and that was just a complete chance that that could have happened. They handled the situation so extremely perfectly, and I would in a heartbeat put my full trust into them again and have another home birth. As far as what sex I would want it to be, I think I would want it to be a girl, honestly, if we're just being honest. I love my boys, but I do have a lot of boys. We have 5 between both of us, so I definitely would want to like even it out a little bit more and have another girl. Marissa Conde 3 asked, what is the situation with you going back to college? That is a really good question, and I have not addressed that in a long time. I still have full plans of going back to college. This is the longest break I have ever taken from college. The last semester I took was when I was pregnant with Addie, so it's been just over a year now, and the only reason I have not gone back, and I'm just gonna be completely honest with you guys, is because YouTube kind of took over my life. Not in a bad way, but it kind of exploded when I got pregnant with Addie. It is a full-time job, So for me to go back to school, I would have to sacrifice basically like these videos, which I think is fine, but right now is not the time. Maybe I'll have more time when Addie goes to school, but as of right now, focusing on my YouTube career is kind of what I'm doing right now. But I do have an associate's degree, which isn't great, but it's not nothing either. I do have full intentions, regardless of what YouTube turns out to be. I do want to have like the higher degree, so to be continued. Would you ever consider having Chris officially adopt the twins in Landon? I mean, I would totally consider it, but Drake would never agree to it. Like, he's, without bashing him, I think he kind of has like the sense of entitlement, and if you ask him, he'll be like, oh, I love my kids, but still is, you know, it is what it is. I'm not positive about it, but I don't think you can just go and adopt the kids without the other party's permission. I don't know, honestly. I'm just not really exactly sure how that would go, but like I said, I'm not opposed to it. I just don't have any knowledge in that area. Katie K 1979 asks, how do you deal with the different rules at each house for Tommy and Kaden and also Lilia? Do you get up? But I can do this at Blank's house or my other parents' house. Honestly, that's not really an issue, if I'm being completely honest. All 3 of the kids are really well behaved, and if something, I mean, obviously we need to discipline them at times. We discipline them pretty much the same that we would discipline any of the kids, and it's never been like an issue. And our rules that we have here don't like go against any rules that they have somewhere else. Jessica Grover 20 asked, when did you make your first YouTube check and how much was it? If I'm remembering correctly, I believe it was literally right after Lilia was born. I think it was even the same month, like it was June of 2010, and at the time I think it was like barely $100. Sierra 8108023 asks, what advice do you have with being with someone who has a child or children from a previous relationship? I would love to know your input. That is really, really difficult to blend a family. Luckily, Chris and I are like super compatible, and I feel like we both have all of the kids' best interests in mind. There has been things that come up over the years, like discipline, for example, is something that we kind of disagree on, honestly. I feel like the love needs to be there for all of the kids the same. You can't view the kids as like your kid or my kid or our kid. You just have to be able to accept that other child into your child's life and into your life. And if you can't do that, this is kind of sucks to say, but if you don't like your significant other's children, I don't think that relationship will work. I just can't see how it would work. If I didn't like Tommy and Kaden and they were around my kids all the time, like I couldn't do that. Luckily, I have the best stepsons in the world and I love them to death because I just don't know how it would work. I mean, I'm gonna be real with you. Sometimes you just can't stand a kid. Like I have kids that I can't stand. None of my kids, obviously. When you're dating or you're in a relationship and you have children, like that needs to be your first priority. So you're not just taking in this man into your life, or as a man taking in this woman into your life, you're taking in a whole nother family. So So if you can't get along with that whole other family, then it's not gonna work because you're blending families. You're not just a man and wife. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's how I view it. My advice is get along with the kids and have the kids get along with you. And if it doesn't work, then hook up at 18 years. Abby Connor asked, do you think you'll put Addie in dance? I love you so much. Thank you, I love you too. And yes, she's gonna be starting dance this fall. I cannot freaking wait. Mandy Boo 93 asked, how did Chris's kids end up so far away? So this question is like a really misunderstood like thing in our life. People think that he like up and moved away from his kids when that is not the reality of it at all. This is like a super long story, but just to make it short, he was married, had 2 kids with her, and they lived down in Southern California where they live now. She actually cheated on him. When they divorced, he had nowhere to go except to live with his parents, which was up in Northern California where I live. I met him when he had already lived up here. A lot of people think like, oh, he just met you and left his kids. Like that is not the case at all, and he's definitely never left his kids. Anybody who's kind of a long-time follower, I'm sure, can see that. He drives 12 hours to get his kids in, how long has it been? 4 years? He has missed 1 visit ever, and it was a really, really good reason. I can't remember what it was. Pauline 14450 asks, are you going to pursue correcting your diastasis recti? Diastasis recti. I never know how to pronounce that. 110%. In fact, I was just telling Chris last night, like that is something super high on my priority list. The only thing I've been waiting for is to be done breastfeeding Addie. So as soon as she's done, that's what's next. But I need to time it out well. I'm gonna be down, completely bedridden for at least 6 weeks. So I'm gonna need a lot of help, which means that I'm gonna need to plan my help around the surgery, for example, summer break or winter break. I have tons of kids in school. I have tons of responsibilities. So it's not exactly like, oh, I can just go next week and get cut open type deal. And on top of that, I'm also breastfeeding. So I want to be done with breastfeeding. That way I can take the drugs that I need to take. So it's kind of just a waiting game. If I don't do it this summer, I'm thinking next summer is probably going to be the best time. We've got a guest, you guys.
Hi.
Yeah, da. You want to say hi? No? Okay. Don't mind me. Mama Martin XX2 asked, do you sometimes regret Chris getting fixed? Are there some days you would love to add another baby to the family? No, not out of my body. I do, and I've talked to Chris about this, I would love to adopt in the future, but definitely not in our cards right now, so yeah, but I don't regret it at all. Amelia Ratton Life? Oh gosh, I probably destroyed that. Asked, I just want to know where you got Addie's cute pink romper with the ruffles from. Where do you shop the kids' clothes? Most of her little rompers I actually got from Amazon. If I didn't get them from Amazon, I got them from sparkleandpink.com. That's like pretty much my 2 places that I go to all the time, besides like, you know, Target and like random stores in the mall. Nikki JF asks, you mentioned in a video a good while ago about Kaden being assessed for autism. Do you have an update? We had him assessed by 3 different specialists, all of which said that they were not concerned about where he was at, with his speech or with the other symptoms. So right now we're just kind of playing the waiting game, but honestly, since he's entered public school and has gone through this year of kindergarten, I don't really suspect it anymore. When he was younger, he showed what I thought were a lot of signs of being on the spectrum, and I had a lot of other parents point little things like that out, but I think honestly what it is, I think he has extreme OCD, which runs in our family like a lot, along with like anxiety and stuff. So I think if it's anything, it's probably that, because the tendencies are less of those that you see that are on the spectrum and more so the things that like I had experienced as a kid. I had a severe OCD as a child, like to the point where I like went through therapy and stuff, and I see a lot of what he does, and it reminds me of myself because I used to do the same thing. So I'm not super concerned about that anymore, but it's definitely still like at the top of my brain, like scanning constantly. Strubble_Kelly asked, did you always want a lot of kids? Yes, I always wanted 4. If you asked me when I was a child, I said that I wanted 4. I definitely didn't think I would have this many, but I never wanted a small family. I always wanted to have a lot of babies. BTR Flies 59 asks, what's up fam? How do you handle the hate, the haters? Do you ever read gossip sites? Has it ever affected you in any way? I never read it anymore. I used to obsess over it. I would read the hate daily and just rip myself apart and get so angry. And I got to a point where I would focus so much of my time and energy towards that I was like, screw it. It literally is just fake. You sit there and you get defensive about, you're like, you don't understand. They take your words, they take your actions, they twist them, they soak them in bleach and then throw it out on the table and act like they have any freaking idea what they're talking about, when in reality it's just 100% false, and it's 100% their terrible life rolled up into a picture and blaming it on somebody else. I don't think any of that freaking made sense, but no, I don't read it. If I see negative comments, I delete them. I've always said that. I've always done that. Ignore, block, delete. I live by that and it feels great. Kay?
Mama.
Yeah.
Dada.
Asked, do you plan on taking Chris's kids to Disneyland? They actually had season passes forever and they've been a million freaking times. So I've gotten comments like, oh, why don't you ever take them to Disneyland? It's because they go all the time. They literally live like 10 minutes away from it. I do want to take them to Disneyland, but I'm gonna wait until we go on a big family trip. Taking them individually just wouldn't be something that they are super into because it's not, I don't want to say it's not special because Disneyland is always special, but for them, it's just like, oh, this is our theme park down the street, you know, if that makes sense. I think for us, it would be more so, oh, this is our family vacation. They have other interests. Up here, you guys know they're really into paintball right now. They get to pick whatever they want to do for their birthday. If they did request Disneyland, I would be more than freaking happy to take them. Don't get me wrong, but that hasn't been anything that they have requested. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up here, you guys. I have to actually go get the kids from school, but I feel like I answered a good like chunk of the questions. I definitely want to do this again. Like I said, go add me on Twitter, check daily. I will also have all my other social media links down below. But that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed these questions, and if you have any more, you can always use the hashtag JesssFamFAQ and I might answer your question in one of my Friday videos. So yeah, that's it for today's video, and we'll talk to you guys on Monday. Bye!